Welcome to the Golf Fitness Bomb Squad. I'm your host, Chris Finn, and I'm excited today to take a break from all the instruction, the fitness people, the mental coaches. We've got a fellow golfer here with me today, and I'm really excited for this episode. We've been looking forward to it for a couple of weeks. We had a scheduling snafu before. We both got kids that get in the way, but we finally made it happen. Kasey Yardley, the man behind Golf Rabble. If you got to go to Instagram, check out this account. It's absolutely awesome. But Kasey, welcome to the show, man. Excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, sorry about that snafu. It's totally the kid's fault. So
yeah, 100%. The Taylor who organizes all the guests and everything, she's like, oh, yeah, he's stuck, bringing his kid to practice or something. And I was like, I get that. And then come to find out, before we hit record, we actually have 3 kids, all the same ages. So I was like, oh yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah, we're at that same stage in life, which is wonderful and so busy. So yeah, it's good.
Wonderfully hectic is what we call it. But yeah, so for those that are listening, that maybe it's their first time getting introduced to you, and tell me a little bit about, or tell them obviously a little bit about, how did Golf Rabble, where'd that come from, and how'd you get into golf, and let's just see where it takes us today.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I grew up playing golf. My dad cut down some clubs for me when I was like 3. So, and I grew up in Elko, Nevada, and we lived on a golf course. So
nice.
I've been playing golf my whole life. What's funny is I played all through high school, and then getting into college, you're out on your own, and life gets expensive. I kind of put the clubs in the closet for a few years in college, because I was just like, I got to eat food this week. I can't spend $50 on a round of golf. And so exactly. I kind of put the game away for a few years during, poor college times. But when I met my wife, when we started dating, her dad is a scratch golfer. And so he sort of brought me back into the game. It was fun to go and play with him and my brother-in-law, and to see them so passionate about the game that I was once passionate about. And so that kind of got me back into golf. And then in 2017, a good friend of mine, Kalen, we decided it would be fun to do something. He's an entrepreneur, has had several successful exits in his career from tech companies. And he's like, let's start something. Let's do something. And so we decided, just for fun, to start Golf Rabble. One Sunday night, we sat on the phone talking through, what are we going to call it? And let's buy the domain, and, kind of those first steps. And it was purely just for fun, just a passion project. And it's been, now I think we're 7 or 8 years in, and have grown, quite a bit. What's funny is growing a social media account, it so depends on, obviously what you're posting, and how in tune are you with what's viral, and how does that connect with audiences. I remember another account started right around the time I started mine, by this guy named Travis, PGA Memes, and sort of, we were a new account and he was a new account. Obviously he's done incredibly well for himself, and has millions of followers, and he's created a whole company and a whole brand around what he's doing. I think Golf Rabble has been successful, but you're as successful as you are. It's hard to do what he did. Yeah. And what the content that he created surely has taken off. And so anyway, it's been sort of a grind for the last 7 or 8 years, and it's so fun. And even if people always reach out to me and they're like, how did you grow your account to be where it's at? And my answer to them is like, that was never the goal, to be big. I would post like this every day if I had 100 followers,
Right. Yeah.
So I think if you love golf and you love to create content, and regardless of the results, you're just enjoying it, I think, that's kind of been my approach.
That's so cool. Yeah. And I think it's just, it's as with any business, just a matter of doing the little stuff every single day. And I think that's why you have to love what you do, because like totally. You said, if you have 100 or 100,000 or 100 million, it's just, you're going to do it anyway. So might as well share it with people.
Yeah. If your goal is, it's good to set goals, obviously, nothing against that, but if your goal is, I want to be here by next year, and you don't hit that goal, and it's all about hitting, that goal, then you may quit. So many people will start stuff like this and do it for a little while. And if it doesn't take off immediately, it's like, okay, well, that didn't work, and it's like, well, maybe it would if you did it for 5 years straight,
Exactly. Yeah.
So anyway,
100%. Yeah. So let's get into your golf game. Like where is your golf game at? You see, we were talking before, you said get to play a couple times a week, which, I mean, shoot, one time a week with 3 kids is like, is monumental, but like,
totally.
Talk about your golf game and, being kind of in the golf space like this and sharing the journey with everybody. What's that been like? What are you working on these days? And, let's get into the golf side.
For sure. So the golf game's pretty good right now. I mean, I'm 43, and I would say I'm a better golfer than I've ever been. I shoot better scores today than I ever did in high school. I hit it further. Part of that's equipment. Part of that's, some of the technology that we have, but the golf game's really good, but I suck sometimes. Like I always, like, I'll meet new people and I'll be like, let's go play, let's go play golf. And they're like, well, I'm terrible. Like, you won't want to play with me. And my response is always like, we're all terrible. Like, all of us suck some of the time,
100%.
And I have a great example. Here's a great story. So last Saturday, I went out with some friends, played. There's a course nearby, Sleepy Ridge. I shot a 67, and I was just like on top of the world, and I don't shoot scores like that often. That's like a couple of times a year I'll shoot like in the mid to high 60s. Yeah. Most of my scores are, low to mid 70s. That's kind of where I hover. So I was like, I'm good at golf. Like, oh my gosh, this is the new normal, And
yeah, exactly.
I woke up the next morning and I'm like, geez, I'm so good at golf. I can't believe I did that, and yesterday I played in a match play 8-man tournament, and I played so terribly. Like, and part of it was match play. Competitive golf is different than when you're out playing with your buddies. There's no pressure 100%. When you're playing with friends. Yeah. But when you're playing against, and I was playing against this kid who's like 2 years out of high school, like plays 20 tournaments a summer, is like really good player. And he just sort of like stepped on my throat on the front nine. He made an eagle, he made 3 birdies, and all of a sudden I'm like 4 or 5 points down at the end of the front nine. And anyway, I was hitting shots that I couldn't even like imagine hitting. I bladed one over the green on 10, and it was just really bad. And so that contrast to shoot such a good score on Saturday and then not even a week later play golf that poorly, it's like, that's golf. That's totally the game that we love.
Yeah. It's I have to say, it makes me feel better that I'm not alone, and that I had to. I actually started playing competitive. I didn't play golf till I was like 25, 26, and just started playing competitively a year ago. And I had my best competitive round ever. I qualified for the state am, shot 1 under, all That's pumped awesome, up. Like it was in the middle of this 6-week stretch where I didn't shoot above, I don't know, like a 73, and I'm just, I show up to the am, DFL after day 1. Like, I think I shot like 81, like literally what you're saying, like shots that you can't even imagine. You're like, what the, like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, but to your point, it's like, I shot 1 under competitive round. Like, oh, this is the new norm. Like, this is great. I'm going to qualify for everything. And then you go out and you're like, what? I don't know what happened. Like, there's no words. And
my swing feels different.
It's like something has gone terribly amiss. And that's golf. It's wild. Yeah. It is. I never in any other sport I've ever played has it been that extreme. Like, I always use the analogy of, I was a basketball player and like, I was 90% free throw shooter. Never would I ever go to a game and shoot 10%. like that just wouldn't happen, right? But in golf, you can go from shooting under par to shooting 15 over. Like, it's wild.
Yeah, it just goes to show you how complex the game of golf is, and how much of a, like, with free throws, you can like kind of turn off your brain and just kind of shoot free. I played basketball in high school too, and you may have played, at a higher level than that, but basketball can be almost completely physical, and your brain is just not even a thing. But with golf, like it's so much mental, and so there's so much room for error, and that's why it's so impressive to see Scotty Scheffler do what he's doing right now, to win 6 times this year. And I mean, this really is like a Tiger like season. That he's having, and that kind of consistency is just unheard of.
And I love the conversation now of like, hey, do we need to adjust the FedEx Cup because
he's just going to run away with it?
Does he even need to show up, or can we just give it to him at the beginning of the 3 tournaments?
I honestly think like if we get to the end of the season and he's got 10 wins and he's lapped a couple of, the next few guys by a couple of laps, it's like, give him the trophy, man.
Like make it a pro-am. Let some amps come play.
Right. That's right.
So what in your golf journey, I mean, do you have what are you working on? Like you say, you shot. I mean, you're obviously a good player. What's for the other? And I think this is a fun kind of angle for us on the pod. Is we have lots of instructors, and it's not often that we get a good player who's an amateur like everyone else listening. Like, so to get to where you've gotten. Like, what have you focused on to get you there, and kind of what have been the keys for you?
So, like you, I'm a dad and I have a full-time job, and I've got a million other things that are way more important than golf, but I want to keep my game sharp and I want to continue to improve. And so for me, it's about like, what can I work on that's going to maximize my ability to score? And so we have a short game area by our house. And so I'll go over and hit chips and putts often. And I feel like that's become kind of the strongest part of my game is, hitting, my short game, just being able to, like yesterday, I mentioned playing terribly. I didn't putt terribly. Like I probably made 4 10 to 15 footers to tie holes or to win holes. And by the way, on the back 9, I beat him by 2 points. So I just had a slow start. It was a slow start. So I work a lot on my short game because I think that's where you can get, once you've got the swing down, once you feel like you can hit the center of the club face pretty consistently, that's not going to go away. That part of the game is pretty automatic. But I think short game, those feel shots, like the feel of hitting a 40-yard pitch shot, you're not going to have that, if you don't work on it. And so I work a lot on that feel stuff, and I feel like that helps me with my scoring quite a bit because, if you haven't played in 2 weeks, you're going to miss some greens, but if 2 days ago you were hitting chip shots and sinking putts, like you'll probably be okay. So I'd say the short game is probably my biggest focus. I just got this new putter that is really I'm rolling it really well.
What'd
you get? This is going to be I got it's by a company called Even Roll.
Okay.
And I've been using Even Rolls for a long time. I kind of bounce around. I'm a little bit of a head case with putters, but they have what's called a mid lock, which is an arm lock putter that locks to your left forearm.
Yeah.
And Bryson DeChambeau said something a few weeks ago that just like it clicked in my brain. So when putting, a lot of people, they want to putt. You're an instructor. This may be like blasphemy to you, but like when you're putting, a lot of people want you to be like really, really loose and really, not stiff and not, not static. But Bryson DeChambeau said something the other day. He's like, that's static. Like, because if you've seen him putt, he is totally his shoulders straight, are very up. His arms are both straight. Yep. And he said, for me to putt with consistency, that static sort of held position, and he always is thinking about this triangle from his hands to his shoulders. He's like, it allows me to rock the putter back and forth in a way that's much more consistent than if I was like loosey-goosey. And what I struggle with is I hit my putts off the toe, and my club face is not very stable. And so having an arm lock putter, and I've started like trying to putt like Bryson, where I stand really tall, I get really close to the ball, and I just try to swing my arms with really static shoulders.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I am making so many putts. I'm such a better putter, both lagging and like anything inside 10 feet. I feel like it's automatic.
Yeah.
So I feel like part of it is the putter. It's that arm lock technology really helps me. And part of it is kind of that move that Bryson showed me. But I mean, in 2 months, I'll be putting with a new putter. So who knows?
That's all great putters do. Just go to the closet, pick out the next one that rotated in.
I'll have one bad round of putting and be like, screw this thing. And
this isn't working. That's awesome. And then you mentioned obviously you spend a lot of time short game and trying different shots. And like what is like just for people listening maybe who are looking for an idea of how to like work on like how do you pick a 40 or do you have numbers? Hey, I'm hitting 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 yards. You just throw balls around, step on them, give yourself terrible lies. Do you play games? What do you do around the greens to when you go and do get to practice your short game?
Yeah, good question. I think there's a number of different types of shots that you want to have experience with. One is when you have a lot of green to work with and you've got to hit something kind of lower with spin. It's my favorite shot in golf to watch Jordan Spieth hit like this pitch shot that bounces twice and then just kind of checks. Yeah. That to me is like the most beautiful shot in golf. And so I've worked on that a lot, especially off of a tight lie into grain, against grain. Those kinds of shots are really good because you're going to miss the green short and you're going to have lots of green to work with. And you want to be able to do a number of different things in order to get it close. Right. I think another shot you want to really work on is being short-sighted, having to open the club face a little bit and use the bounce and get the ball high in the air so it lands softly and you don't, the goal is to give yourself something inside 5 or 6 feet, to get up and down. And so, I would say working on sort of shots that are short-sighted, shots where you've got a lot of green to work with, making sure that you understand where the bottom of the swing is with a chip shot and how to use the bounce. There's so much great technology in wedges these days. And my chipping years ago used to be shaft lean and stick the leading edge in the ground. And that I thought that's how you create spin. And it's absolutely not how you create spin. You use the bounce and you clip it and you get under it. I used to take these big divots whenever I would, hit chip shots. And so just learning about bounce, learning how to, find the bottom of the swing. And then, like you said, testing different lies, hit out of rough, step on the ball a little bit, figure out what all of those different swings look and feel like. One of the things I've noticed as I've watched lots of like pro players talk over the ball is like the lie means everything to them. Like if they walk up to the ball and they've got a good lie, they're like, oh my gosh, there's just so many options right now. I can do anything with this lie. And then as the lie gets worse and worse, there's only one option, or there's two options here. Yeah. And so just understanding what a good lie looks like and what to use, with certain lies. Have you seen that clip where they're interviewing Phil Mickelson and he's talking about, if there's a little bit of dew on the ball, it's going to spin more. And if the grass is this, it's going to do this. And if it's a little cooler, it's not going to go as far. Like all the pros, well, most of them, maybe not like guys like Dustin Johnson. He doesn't, I don't think he thinks about anything, but he doesn't need to. Yeah. But all those guys are thinking about so much. It's like calculus, what they're doing as they stand over a golf ball. And you and I may never get to that level. And I know I won't. But if I can get a little bit more, if I can be a little bit more thoughtful and think about things a little bit better, in terms of understanding and decision making, like you're gonna play better golf. And so just get out and work on what does that look like? Yeah.
So you've already answered my next question was gonna be what's your favorite shot to practice? So that lot of green you're trying to do kind of 2-hop stop. What was the difference for you? Like technically, for people listening, maybe curious, like because that I would agree that's one of the coolest shots. And there's most people listening probably have no idea how to do that. Like for you, when you're like, hey, I want to hit this shot, what is the setup and everything that you look to do, and how do you try to hit it to make that happen?
Yeah. What I used to try to do is I would put the ball way back in my stance, and and when you put it back, it does bring the, trajectory down a bit. You want it to be a low shot. But I always thought you bring it back in your stance and you just try to hit the ball first and hit this like big chunky, and what I've found now to try to hit that shot is I stand much closer to the ball, and I'm more steep in my takeaway. What I used to do with chipping is I would try to have like a big arc, like I'd try to bring the club back with like an arc and try to hit like draw spin. And what I've noticed is that if I open the club face just a little bit and I bring it back a little bit steeper, with the ball a little bit further back, and then just kind of picturing in your mind what is the ball flight you're trying to hit here. For me, it's all about setup. Stand a little bit closer, open the club face a little bit, put the ball a little bit further back, and then make a smooth swing and don't decelerate, and just pick a good landing spot. And for that shot, when you've got a little bit more green to work with, the landing spot's going to be, it's going to be at a certain place. And if you trust your wedge and you clip it, it's going to land, it's going to bounce, and then it's going to check.
Yeah.
And so it's just practicing, like, what is, and there's a million things to think about as well. Like, am I hitting uphill to a tucked back pin?
Right.
Is it downhill? Is it into the grain? Is it against the grain? Or, is the grain going away from me? Are the greens wet and soft, or are they firm? There's just so many things to think about as you're trying to hit that shot. But for me, 90% of it is setup, just getting the right setup and then making a good solid swing.
Awesome. Cool. Well, and I think my last question, Kasey, is I want to be respectful of your time, is this is a golf fitness podcast. So like, what do you do for your body? You said you're 44, based on all our research. At 41, there's a massive cliff that we fall off of. I don't know if you've fallen off that cliff, or maybe you're genetically gifted and you haven't gotten there yet, but what are you doing to continue playing such good golf into your 40s?
Oh, great question. Well, you got to protect your back. At least for me, I've got 3 discs in my lower back that are, surgery is in my future for sure. I go get epidurals a couple times a year to kind of calm that. And those work great for me. So for any of your listeners who have back problems, I've always thought and have been taught to like avoid surgery, find other ways to be, to have good back health, good posture. And then there's other options to help sort of calm the inflammation, like an epidural. Sure. That's been a miracle for me. In terms of fitness, I lost 40 pounds recently.
Good for you. That's
fitness,
amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Fitness has been, I hit 36, 37, and I love food. All of us love food, but like that's
some of my favorite videos that you have are the food ones.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's something that's a little bit new. I'm trying to In-N-Out
versus Five Guys, I thought was on point.
Thank you. A strong opinion there, but I wake up. I'm the kind of guy, I wake up in the morning and the first thing I think about is, what am I going to eat for lunch?
Yeah.
And so for me, I've tried really hard to be more healthy, because I want my golf game to be strong, but I also want to live long for my kiddos. And so for me, losing weight, getting back, I was 225 about 6 months ago. Now I'm about 185. Awesome. So getting down in weight has been helpful. It's helped my game. It's helped my flexibility. I feel better. And then I go to the gym every morning. Well, I go to the gym 5 or 6 days a week, and I don't lift hard. I'm not trying to get like jacked,
right?
But I'm trying to be strong and keep my back strong and keep, the muscles that help the golf swing strong. I don't do anything specifically related to golf in terms of my workout, but my goal is to just keep, eat healthy, be at a good weight, and try to make good decisions, because it all affects your health. It all affects your game. You know what I mean? Everything in terms of your physical health is going to improve your golf game. And we've seen that over the last few years, like Rory McIlroy and all these guys, all these, top tier players. That's a big, they'll get to the course an extra half an hour early so they can go to the gym and stretch and do all that properly. So it's a big deal.
Well, it sounds like we definitely need to get you, send you over the home assessment and you can look at your hips. That's the number one cause of stress on the back. How are your hips? Are they loose? You got good mobility throughout the hips rotationally?
Probably not. Probably. I feel like since my back has been hurting, I feel like I probably nurse them a little bit in my swing, try to protect, because
that's going to be my thank you. I'm going to send you. We're going to send you that over immediately this morning.
Yeah.
So we can get you that. Be curious how you do on it. But for everyone listening who wants to follow you and your golf journey, and just obviously we've mentioned the food. Strongly recommend those videos, guys. It's Golf Rabble. I know you got YouTube, Instagram. Where can everybody kind of find you? Where's the best place for them to interact and join kind of your journey?
Yeah, Golf Rabble on Instagram. It's at Golf Rabble on every platform. So we're biggest on TikTok and Instagram, and then trying to grow that YouTube channel as well. So go give us a follow. Fantastic. Yeah, definitely. Everyone can definitely go check that out. And Kasey, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I really appreciate you coming on the Bomb Squad here and just sharing your journey, because I think it's fun for me just to get to chat with other. I always say every episode, my favorite part of this is getting to meet different people in the industry, and so it's fun to meet another guy, same exact 3 kids, like trying to love the game, wanting to get better at it. So thank you so much for your time today. Everybody who's listened, thanks so much for your time, and we'll look forward to catching you on the next episode of the Golf Fitness Bomb Squad. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.